Hello, I am Dr. Nyokabi Gishangi, a medical doctor by profession and a co-founder at Malaika Healthcare. I would describe myself as courageous, empathetic, resilient, and soft-spoken. I'm here today on Everyday Woman to share my journey with you. Stay tuned. Malaika Healthcare was born in 2021. Actually, I would say it was born in the year 2019, but because of COVID, we couldn't really get running, because there was so much uncertainty. People are at home, so it was pushed to 2021. We opened our doors in 2021. We chose this area. We want to serve the common Kenyan who may not have insurance, who may not have access to specialist care. We want to bring that care to them because we have realized a lot of Kenyans end up getting complications or not really understanding what they're suffering from because there's nobody to tell it to them. So this is my passion and my purpose. My passion is health and well-being. I want to teach people how to prevent disease. I want to promote healthy lifestyle, and I want to teach them how to deal with an illness once you have it. Yeah. For this reason, I also enrolled in a Master of Public Health. I'm almost done. I'm just finalizing, and it's in the promotive aspect. So this helps me to be able to talk to my patients and help them understand what the disease is about and why they have it, especially NCDs, the non-communicable diseases. As much as we're in Africa, you would think in the West, in the higher income countries, they have more NCDs. But can I tell you that lower and middle income countries, which is us, are catching up to the West faster than we can fathom. The cases of diabetes and hypertension in Kenya, newly diagnosed every day, are more than any infectious disease. When people were crying about COVID deaths, hypertension and stroke were killing more people than COVID was. So this is a big deal. It's a very big deal. But the good news is, with proper lifestyle, with proper education, health education, more than half of these cases can be avoided. You see, to get a lifestyle illness, say hypertension, it means that first you may be predisposed. So like your mom, your dad, your uncle, your auntie, your sister, somebody in the family already has hypertension. So you have the little chance. So in public health, we say your genetics is the gun, yeah? Your genetic loads the gun, but your lifestyle will pull the trigger. So how you live, even if your father is diabetic and your mother has cancer, how you live may help you to completely 100% avoid getting cancer or getting diabetes. And this is my mission in life. I just want to spread the gospel of healthy living. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't mean denying yourself things, denying yourself certain foods. It has to be sustainable. It has to be enjoyable, because also if you're doing these things with stress, you're also raising your stress levels, so it's not helpful. So for me, lifestyle medicine is the core of medicine. Of course, the pills and tablets have a role, and my work is not to denounce that. My work is to educate you so that you're on the smallest dose possible, and if we can, we avoid getting to the point that you have to take medication. Things like hypertension can be managed with a DASH approach, a dietary approach to stopping hypertension. And that's the first line of treatment before we get to the pills. Now, when that doesn't work, then you get to the pills. Or if your hypertension is not a type of hypertension that can only be cured using lifestyle, then you have to take the pills. But at the same time, having a good lifestyle and the pills will reduce your morbidity. It will make you live longer. You're not going to have the bad side effects and the bad complications of the illness. So someone who's just living at, like, YOLOing. You only live once. In health, that is a bit dangerous. You have to be in moderation of everything. Yeah, so at Malaika, we've put in some projects that are helping us to achieve this. We started last year with a program called the Baby Academy, because if you have a healthy mother and a healthy baby, you likely have healthy children who are not obese and who are not malnourished and therefore don't have other diseases. You'll have a happy mother who won't have hypertension, she won't have diabetes, Babies will have stronger immunity, so that's why we started the Baby Academy. It's a free class. We offer it to all the women around, and they have really learned a lot, and it's been beneficial. They've known how to find danger signs in their babies and to feed and to, everything that it takes to bring up a healthy family. And then this year we have a project called the NCD project. The NCD project is the Non-Communicable Diseases project. So for this one we have partners. One of them would be Simply Foods, which is a company that deals with nutritional nutritional breakfast options. And what we do with this program is we go to workplaces, we go to churches, we go to schools, and we just talk to them about a healthy lifestyle and wellness. Wellness is not just about what you eat or not smoking, it's also about sleep. Are you sleeping enough? Are you rested? Are you stressed? Do you have a social support system? Because you cannot thrive by yourself. You have to have a social support system. It's also about what you eat and whether you exercise. Exercise doesn't mean going to the gym. Exercise doesn't have to cost you money. Exercise can be free, As a child growing up, I had issues with my chest. My mom makes a joke. There's a running joke in the family. I was so sickly as a little baby with pneumonia and recurrent chest infections that I had a bed at Gertrude's Hospital. I had a bed, a specific spot. They would say, that is baby Munene's cot. So because I'd be admitted twice every month, I'd be there. So then as I grew up, I realized the allergies were getting worse and worse. I had eczema, I would wheeze, I was on inhalers. And this thing is genetic because even my parents, my dad would have it also. So I realized there must be a way out. So while I was in uni, I started doing some research to understand allergies and the role that nutrition plays in them and how to reduce them. And that's when I came across things like green juices and eating more raw foods. And when I started incorporating this into my lifestyle, my allergies have greatly gone down. I still suffer them when I'm very exposed to the allergen, but I now know how to maintain them. I would say my journey began way back in high school. That's when I learned about books like Ben Carson's Think Big. He was a big shot neurosurgeon, and I grew up thinking I want to be a neurosurgeon like Ben Carson. So when I finished KCSE, the year 2005, that tells you how old I am. In the year 2007, I was one of the first pioneers to go to China to study medicine. So I went to China, I studied medicine. I would say this opened my eyes much more to medicine because I realized medicine is more than pills. It's more than just popping medicine and medication and syrups and whatnot. Because in China, when they treat they treat the whole person. And they don't shy away from using herbs and other techniques like acupuncture and hot stone therapy and such things. I grew up in an average family. I grew up in Ongata Rongai, and then later on in Nyeri. I was a bookworm child. I don't think I was a troublesome child. Maybe my mom would say otherwise, but I was a bookworm. I loved reading. I loved reading books. And I wanted to go to boarding school because I figured when I'm in boarding school, I'll study better, I'll study harder. And it paid off because I was on the paper in that year. The year I did KCP, I was on the paper. And then I proceeded on to Alliance. My family was, I'm the second born in a family of five kids, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. So I'm sort of I'm in the middle there. My dad was also quite, he's a sociologist, so he also studied a lot. My mom was a banker, and I think she's the one who carries the business ethic in our family, because I remember she would go to work at Central Bank and come home at 5 p.m. and pick the orders. She used to make snacks, crisps and popcorn and supply to supermarkets back in the 90s. So I grew up seeing that after your day job, there is another job that you can do. So for me, it was easy to then transition into, from my day job, I can do something else. My first day at Alliance was, for me, it was a dream come true. At that point, that was the biggest thing I could ever aspire to, yeah? Going to Alliance. So I enjoyed my Alliance journey. I studied a lot, but I was also in other things like drama. I was a house captain. It was nice. For me, it was all round, and I loved my experience there. I always knew I'd be a doctor. In fact, I didn't have a plan B. You know, when we were filling those forms for university, there was option A, 1, 2, and then there was a second part, then 1, 2. I filled part 1, I wanted to do medicine, Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery. Then I didn't have anything else to put in. So the teacher told me, no, just go through the courses and put in anything. I remember in some parts I put forestry, fisheries. I didn't even know what they were because I was so sure I'd get into medicine. And then when the results came out, one thing about me, I wasn't good at math. I was not good at math at all along. So when the results came out, I couldn't join mainstream Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery because of my math grade. Everything else was straight A's, but my math grade was not an A. And you know you have to have straight A's. So I sat at home and I started telling my dad, no, maybe I should go and do nursing. Maybe I should change and do biochemistry or something else. And my father said, no, you are dreaming to be a doctor, you shall be a doctor. So we looked into parallel system. It was a bit pricey at the time. And then my father met a cousin of his whose daughter had gone to study in China, and she'd been there for 2 years. So he said it's a good system, the children, they come back well educated. So then we started looking into the process of going to China. And my mom at this point was like, no, you're not going to China. They don't have churches in China. You know, they pray to Buddha in China. You're not going to China. And my father said, let her go. And if she doesn't like it in the first year, we'll bring her back. So there I was 18. My bags were packed, my visa was set. I went to China, a city called Chongqing. Now the journey to Chongqing was, I can write a book about just that one day. I arrived in China. First, the agent told me the weather is just like Kenya. It was October. No, it was not just like Kenya. It was winter. I was freezing. I didn't have anything. I just had a little cardigan. I was so cold, and it was 6 p.m. Here I am. I cannot speak Mandarin at all. So I have my papers. I give them to the cab guy. So I arrived in a city called Guangzhou, which is very famous for trading. I arrived in Guangzhou, so then I had a connecting flight to Chongqing. So when I arrived in Chongqing, I gave the cab guy my papers. I told him, could you please take me to this school? And he said, yeah, sure. In Chinese, they say, how. So I knew at least he knows where I'm going. Okay, I enter the cab. We drive like 30 minutes. We reach a university. But it didn't look right to me, because when I looked at the brochure I had and the gate he's showing me, I could see this is not the same place. So I asked him, and he said, it's here. In Chinese, you say, to arrive, you say, daola. He tells me, he keeps saying, daola, daola. So I get down with my suitcase, I pay him. Then I stand and I'm wondering, this doesn't look right. Then I see people in military combat gear running around. I'm like, no, I was not enrolled in a military university. What am I doing here? I'm in the wrong place. So I started crying. I sat at the gate and I started crying. Then in between my crying episode, I looked and I saw an office, what looked like an office, like a reception area. So I went to the reception area and I asked that lady, I showed her my papers. I asked her, is this place? And she said, no. And I was like, what? Maybe I'm even in the wrong city. And then she said, no, she was trying to explain to me that it's close by, but at that time I didn't understand the language. So I sat at the reception couch. I was trying to contemplate on what to do next. Then I looked at my handbag. I had a return ticket. You know, you have to book a two-way ticket. And I thought, maybe I should just go back home. Then I thought, no, my father will be so disappointed because he's worked so hard to get me there. And I thought, no, I'll figure this out myself. So I just sat there. But while I was sitting, I could see little children around and they wanted to talk to me. So they came, I had braids. And as you can see, I'm black, like the proper black, you know. So they would touch my skin and check if it's rubbing off. They'd pull on my hair and they'd ask me, is this yours? Is this real? Now, in hindsight, I understand what they were saying, but at that time, of course, I couldn't understand. And then God sent me an angel. I saw a black man walking right in front of me. I was so excited. I ran up and asked him, do you speak English? Do you speak English? He said, yes, I do. What's wrong? I told him I'm lost. I'm supposed to be going here. I don't know where I am. Could you help me out? And then he looked at my papers and he was so excited. He said, it's just at the back here. You're at the front gate. You just need to go through the back gate and that's your school. So he put me in another cab because I had luggage and he took me to my school and made sure he's handed me over to my teacher. And the rest was history. So I stayed there for 5 years. In the 5 years, I learned a lot about the medical industry in China. It's light years ahead of what Kenya has. I will give an example of like the hospitals. Each specialty has a specific hospital. So it's not one hospital dealing with everything. So for example, there's the women's hospital, there's the men's hospital, there's the HIV and tuberculosis hospital, there's the children's hospital, there's a skin hospital, there's a surgical hospital. So I was lucky because in my university we were able to rotate in all these hospitals. Then of course, my 5 years were over, I had to come back to Kenya. I had to rotate at Kenyatta National Hospital, get my board certification right, do the exams, and get my license to be able to practice in Kenya. I was back in 2012. Then I did my internship in the Bundu, somewhere in Eastern. It was very nice. My seniors were very inspiring. Many of them are part of the reason why I'm courageous enough to do something by myself. Then after that, I went into a bigger hospital in Kiambu County. And then from there, then I branched off into private practice. And that brings us to Malaika Healthcare. Of course, there are very many challenges. I had a mentor pre-COVID. I had a mentor who walked me through the journey, how to start, where to start, what to avoid. Unfortunately, he passed on to COVID. So then I felt like I was drowning, you know, because he's somebody I would touch base with every week. I'd say, we did this week, we did this, and he was a cheerleader. So a mentor is somebody you cannot do without. I wouldn't say I have one mentor, I have many mentors. Some are even peer mentors. I have age mates who are excelling in the path that I am taking. And they may not have the years, like physically, chronological years, but they have the wisdom because they have done this for longer than I have. Mentors are very, very important. You cannot do without a mentor in a business. Iron sharpens iron. You can't be one person who knows everything. It's not possible because you make mistakes. We made so many mistakes when we were starting, so many. Even simple things like construction mistakes, you would put up something and realize, no, this cannot work, the board cannot approve this. So mentors are indispensable. It doesn't have to be one mentor. You can have them from all spheres of life, as long as there are people who mirror your aspirations, who mirror your goals and mirror your values. So I pick things here and there as I go, and I learn a lot from the people I look up to. So I would say success is achieving what you as a person have set out to achieve, what you aim to achieve. And in order to get there, I would say the thing is to start. There's never a perfect time. You'll never have enough time or enough money or enough resources or enough whatever it may be. Maybe when you want to go back to school, you may not even have that scholarship, but just start. When you start, things start falling in place, and you have to be persistent. When you're even in business, sometimes some mornings you wake up, you don't want to go. You don't want to go because sometimes it's low. You don't want to go and check it out because you're feeling like, oh no, not again, I have to go deal with these problems. But you have to go. The consistency builds habit, and the habit then becomes lifestyle, and that's what makes you successful. You may not see it now, but in a few years, you'll see a difference. Where I started, like for example, if I didn't wake up to go to class, I wouldn't have gone to medical school. If I didn't go to medical school, I wouldn't be a doctor. So it's all a domino effect. You have to start. Don't say, the timing is not right, I don't have this, I don't have that. Stop making excuses, just start. I wish somebody told me medicine is very difficult. I told you I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. Then after doing anatomy, you realize, this may not be the path for me, and you start looking into other fields in medicine. Also, I wish somebody told me to start earlier. Most people we talk to, our friends, most people will start picking at your nitpicking on your idea and telling you why it will not work, instead of telling you why it will work. So even now, I learned that you don't have to share everything. Sometimes you move in silence because you feel you may get discouraged. They may not be saying it with a bad intent, but they may feel like, maybe the market is not right for this, or it's not yet time for this kind of concept in Kenya. And then that will discourage you, and you'll never know until you start if it can work or it can't work. You see, there is no concept that's been proven 100% on a piece of paper and said, yes, 100% if you follow this, it will work. You just have to try and then see. So yeah, that's what I would say. So Malaika Healthcare is located on Gitanga Road, just next to Rusinga and Braeburn schools. We are on first floor above a supermarket called Friendly 5 Supermarket. You can follow our social media handles, Instagram and Facebook, Malaika Healthcare. You can also follow me and make your inquiries, questions, suggestions to Dr. Nyokabi on Instagram and Nyokabi Monene on Facebook.